Qarabag. Qarabag. Or I think I should say Qarabag or Qarabag. However, it is actually pronounced in Azerbaijan. Why? What on earth? But this is what we have seen with Chelsea. It's been up and down, up and down. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe you know the rest. So here's the thing: like, lost to Sunderland, beat Wolves, almost threw it away against them though. Then dominated Spurs, and then they go to Azerbaijan and then put up that performance against Qarabag. Yes, it was a rotated team. Qarabag are no mugs. And I think we saw that for sure today. Qarabag are definitely no mugs. Qarabag are not the same Qarabag that Chelsea played when Zappacosta hit that crazy wonder goal, right? This is not the same Qarabag. Look, we're going to get into it. Before that, I think I should do the formalities of YouTube, like every YouTuber tells you to do. And if you like this video, subscribe. So we're going to analyze the game, but we're going to first go to the starting lineup because that is just where it all began. This was actually a decent lineup to go with for a Champions League game against Qarabag. Albeit I wasn't expecting Tariq George to start. I was expecting Mark Gue to start instead. And for very obvious reasons, let's get this out of the way. Tariq George is not a striker. He just isn't. He's a left winger. So I don't know why he's being deployed up front so often when Liam Delap and Mark Gue were available. But yeah, overall, it was a decent lineup. But we get into the game and right off the bat, Chelsea are under pressure. Qarabag were doing really well and they were also inviting the pressure. Yorel Hato and Tosin, they looked a bit shaky at first. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they just need time to settle into the game. And you know, we saw that, you know, players were starting to get into the game before the game could really properly get started in terms of the dynamic. Romeo Lavia goes down. Look, I hate to say this. I think he's broken. I'm sorry. Like, I feel for him. And you could see how frustrated he was when he walked off the pitch. He's not a bad player. On his day, he can be one of the best players on the field and he can be a top defensive midfielder, but injuries just keep letting him down. This guy has spent more time in the hospital than he has on a football pitch. And so he goes off 5 minutes into the game. Caicedo comes on. All of a sudden, there is a bit more balance. Well, balance we got, but it wasn't enough because Yorel Hato and Tosin decided to go on a snooze fest today. They were both asleep at the back, just leaking balls in behind. And Qarabag, with how fired up they were today, how informed they are, they actually did very well. They couldn't capitalize at first. They had a few chances at the start where I really thought they should have scored, but they just couldn't. And I thought, okay, you know what? The defense is bad, but it's not that bad to concede, right? So it should be fine. Estevao scores, we're all celebrating, we're all joyous, we're all happy, and we think, all right, you know what? This will probably calm the game down a little bit more. Chelsea can gain more control of possession. And, you know, we're going to cruise to a comfortable win. I really wish that Chelsea does not exist anymore. I'm sorry. That Chelsea hasn't existed for years. There is no calm.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
That defense was just leaking in balls behind. Like Yorel Hato, Tosin, Andre Santos, they were all just losing control. Reece James put in a good shift. Marco Correa put in a good shift. What good is that when the centre-backs are just falling apart? They're just slipping up, making bad passes, losing the ball, horrible back passes, the goals were just gifts to Qarabag. Albeit Qarabag persisted and they actually got the chances. They were actually putting the defense under a lot of pressure. But I would normally expect that kind of pressure to come from a decent Premier League team, not Qarabag. And so definitely, I think a lot of us had underestimated Qarabag. I definitely did. But I knew that they were no mugs because this Champions League season, they actually look decent. Chelsea go 2-1 down after conceding a very silly goal and a very silly penalty. could have been avoided. Yoral Hato had an absolute nightmare of a first half because those two goals were pretty much down to him. And so Chelsea got 2-1 down into halftime. And, all of us were thinking, all right, they have to. It's time to bring on the first team. And Enzo Maresca did just that. He brought on Enzo Fernandez, brought on Alejandro Garnacho, brought on Liam Delap. Chelsea, they gained back a little bit more control. But as Chelsea pushed more, Qarabag pushed harder. Even then, the defense was still leaking. Chelsea were lucky to not have conceded anymore. They really got away with it. And then Alejandro Garnacho tries to find a pass, doesn't make it. He gets the ball back, decides to take a shot instead, hits the bottom corner, good goal. Chelsea pull it back to 2-2. And then after that, I was just trying to push on to find a winner. But just wasn't working. Later on, Joao Pedro came off. He did not also have the greatest of games. To me, he felt invisible today. Joao Pedro was dropping in as deep as a CDM today. I know he likes to receive the ball deep, but not that deep, In the end, I think it was just very, very sloppy from Chelsea. Passes being misplaced, second balls being lost, third balls being lost, all sorts. It was just not a good day in the office. And Qarabag, they really capitalized on that. Qarabag getting a point from this, completely deserved. In terms of the players who had a good games today, right? I thought when Caicedo came on, obviously he always looks bright. Caicedo is just amazing. Estevao as well. Estevao looked brilliant today. Realistically, from minute 1 to 90, he was the only one who I really saw. This guy has proper goal threat. Alejandro Garnacho was also decent when he came on, got the goal, brilliant. Enzo Fernandez, he looks top quality in the midfield. But when it gets time to attack, whenever he shoots, it just has no power. If you're a midfielder shooting from distance, your shots need to have power in them. Some were on target, some were absolutely terrible. Some corners he took today were Willian corners. If you know Willian corners, it basically means it hits the first man. Enzo Fernandez is great as a box-to-box player, but when it's time to properly attack and show your attacking ability, he just doesn't seem to have it. So in the end, Enzo Fernandez looked decent, nothing too fantastic. And yeah, Liam Delap was all right, I guess. Liam Delap was all right. Of course, he's coming back from injury, so it's important to give him time to, readjust to playing professional football. But yeah. Apart from that, Marco Correa and Reece James, they are just brilliant fullbacks. And Robert Sanchez as well. He absolutely saved the back line in the last minute of the game because Qarabag almost scored in the last minute, if not for Robert Sanchez. It wasn't like everyone was dreadful today. I think half the squad had good games. Others had decent games. And then a few had just very, very poor, substandard, below par games that definitely cost the result tonight. But yeah, all of that balancing out and we walk away with a draw. Not the best result. Mathematically, it still looks okay in the Champions League. But, this is a game where you just have to collect 3 points. You have to pick up 3 points in a game like this. Look, now Chelsea have Barcelona next. They have to go play Atalanta. They have to play Napoli. These are games where you would expect Chelsea to drop points, not Qarabag. Realistically, we're going to have to see how this plays out. There might be other teams that have better chances of getting top 8. So that's why a win today was just absolutely essential. But Chelsea walk away with a point. Not the end of the world, but not that great either. Chelsea move on to Wolves in a few days. Wolves are sitting bottom of the Premier League. But if there's any team that is going to just lose to them, it's going to be Chelsea because Charity FC, But yeah, we're going to see how this plays out against Wolves. I do expect Chelsea to win because, look, Chelsea could look atrocious, but you have to beat bottom of the league Wolves, right? Surely you beat bottom of the league Wolves. We'll find out on Saturday. But yeah, in terms of today, wasn't a great result. Getting a point is not a complete disaster, but come on, it's Qarabag. You're expected to win these kinds of games. But yeah, we move on to Wolves on the weekend. That's pretty much all I have to say. Take care. Goodbye.